3. Here we are! First year-ender of, well, the year. Kasi patapos na yung year. May isa pa akong year-ender na gagawin with another trifecta. Ayan, trilateral. Ito. May binubuo tayong bagong trilateral. RCM. Yan, Ricardo,
Hello.
Marco, and Cristiano. Thank you very much, Cristian and Marc Gamboa, for joining us today.
Yeah, thanks, Richard. Looking forward to this, huh?
Kamusta dyan? Anong balita dyan, Marc Gamboa? Anong traffic ngayon sa EDSA? Nasaan po tayo,
Malala
kapatid?
ang traffic. Friday, last day bago mag-weekend. So,
Ayan.
everyone is going home. So, ang daming tao dito. Grabe.
Baka mamaya may MD na nalalapit sa'yo, sisigaw kami. Alis ka na dyan. Ayan, bro. Ito na. Let's get the ball rolling. There's so much to discuss. But before we go into kind of a year-ender, big political, events and what are the things we're gonna look forward to. Ito, Mark, alam mo naman, pagdating sa itong kaibigan natin, itong co-host natin si Cristian, ito ay isang Bitcoin boy. Alright? Pag-usapan natin, and of course, he's an entrepreneur. And next, pag-usapan natin, lover boy din yan. Okay, but before
And he's also an actor.
Yes, lover boy.
Oh, I was with him sa premiere night.
Oh, bro, kaya kahapon, hindi natuloy kasi nagtitaping si Kuya, kaya artista ng natin dyan, bro. Okay, Chris, get used to it. Talagang nangasar lang kami. But
I can tell.
Okay, Chris, before we go to showbiz and showbiz questions, eto na. So, where did all of this Bitcoin stuff start? And then, Mark, tapon mo na yung mga Bitcoin question mo kasi alam ko, Elon Musk fanboy ka eh.
So, okay. Unang-una, no? I'm excited to hear all the questions and whatever you believe in. Mahilig ako magdebate, I'm sure like the way you guys do as well. And I always believe that debates make points and thoughts stronger. So, paano ko nag-umpisa sa Bitcoin? Alam mo, like anything else, ako yung tipong pag marinig akong bagong technology o bagong bagay, hindi ko agad-agad shutdown yan. Ang una kong gagawin ay tatanungin ko yung kausap ko, ano bang alam niya about it. And I remember my friend just literally I had a drink with my friend and then he was like, "Have you heard of Bitcoin?" Agad-agad I was like, parang narinig ko na yan. And then he started explaining it to me. Ang impression ko agad was, uy, that sounds interesting but I don't know enough about it. So ang ginawa ko, sabi niya, "Chris, promise me pag-aaralan mo to." Ang kulit niya, araw-araw niya akong mini-message. Napag-aaralan mo na ba? Napag-aaralan mo na. So it took me about a month. Ang ginawa ko, I didn't research on how good Bitcoin is. Ni-research ko about Bitcoin being a scam, Ponzi scheme, going to zero, has no inherent value, is worthless. Yun ang mga ni-research kong Google search points ko. And you know what my thesis is? You try to punch as many holes as you can in an argument. Kung punch ka ng hole and it still holds water, ibig sabihin nun, you have to find a better hole puncher. And that also means na if it holds water, then it's a sound argument for that particular topic. Nung nakita ko yon, doon ako nag-all in. That was December 2019. I literally called up my broker, sold all my stocks at a 30% loss, called up my insurance broker, canceled my insurance, redeemed all of it. My broker met with me, nagpirmahan kami ng redemption. Sabi niya, saan mo lalagay yung pera, Chris? Sabi ko, lalagay ko lahat sa Bitcoin. Nagulat siya. He didn't believe me. And then I posted on my Facebook. And to this day, andyan pa yung post niya sa Facebook ko noong December 2019. Tinanong ko lahat ng friends ko, what do you think about Bitcoin? 99% of the people that replied were laughing, making fun of me, saying don't do it, giving me advice. People private message me saying that I don't know what I'm doing. Mga iba, mga mayayaman, mga taga-Forbes na sobrang yaman, mga financial analysts on ANC messaging me, talking to me about it if I know what I'm doing. And I went all in. And that's history. That's how I got into Bitcoin.
Well, 2019 was a perfect time, no? Just before pandemic, because by the next year, the prices go crazy, right? I mean, yeah.
Yeah, you're right. Actually,
Timing mo, ganda, bro.
It was a good timing, pero remember, nung late 2017, mga December 2017, if I remember correctly, or January 2018, nag-peak ang Bitcoin at $19,000. Tapos bumagsak all the way to 3,000. So nung 2019, mababa pa siya at about 5,000 to 7,000. And people were saying, tapos na yan, wala na yan, babagsak na yan. Why are you even going into it? Ako naman, pumasok all the way. So that was how I got in.
Ngayon ba nasa magkano na siya?
$44,000.
Magkano bili mo ulit?
$7,000.
Yeah, Kurt! Kasi bumili ka ng 2019 eh. Kung bumili ka ng 2021,
Oh,
medyo,
good.
diba? Because
Oh,
I've been following this. I wanted to do Bitcoin also in 2019, 2020, especially in 2020, diba? Although, I'll be honest, and maybe Chris, you can guide me and Mark, my worry was the taxes and all of that. Because I'm very particular. I mean, you know, given the nature of my job, I have to be very clear about all of these things. I get tax lawyers for everything I do. So my worry was, nakita ko marami dyan, nagsa-stock sila, hindi nila alam yung tax laws sa US in particular. So nadali sila sa mga issues na yan. Can you tell us a little bit about that kung may alam ka sa mga tax issues?
sure.
Did
That
you-
depends.
Yeah.
That depends on what country you're in eh. Kung sa Pilipinas, Philippines doesn't have a
Ngayon pala sa
cryptocurrency.
Philippines ka bumili, hindi sa US or Canada.
Oo, kasi sa US,
Ah.
mahigpit ang crypto regulations doon. Sa Philippines, wala pa tayong crypto regulations for holders. And the problem is that BIR has signaled so many times during the height of Axie Infinity na gusto nila i-tax ang mga Axie players. Pero hindi nila matatax ang Axie players because it's in the crypto world. It's in the blockchain. The BIR cannot see kung nasan yung pera or how much everyone has. So it's impossible to tax crypto at this point. Pero pag nasa States ka, makatatax ka talaga. Yep, dahil mahigpit ang regulations doon. Number one, number two, the US has created a law stating that kung meron kang crypto, kailangan mo siya i-declare, honor system. Kung hindi mo dineclare, tapos nahuli ka, you will be penalized and you could go to jail. Ayun, may ganun sila.
Do you also own other coins din?
Yes, I
Like yung
do.
parang
Dogecoin.
coin,
Dogecoin.
ganon.
Well,
Ethereum, XRP. Do you
So,
own ganong crypto din?
actually, pag tinignan mo yung portfolio ko, I have siguro mga a minimum of at least 50 coins that I'm in. Pero having said that, I only tell people to invest in Bitcoin. Pwede din Ethereum, that's another one. The percentage of Bitcoin and Ethereum I have on my wallet compared to any other coin is about 80% to 90% Bitcoin and Ethereum, and then mga 10 to 20% lang yung nilalaro ko talaga.
How about yung sa mga NFT? Kasi parang a few years ago napakainit. Tapos
Yeah.
everyone was into NFT, mga board monkeys, tapos biglang
Jake
crash lahat.
Paul Brothers, di ba? Ang dami
Oh, yeah.
di ba yun?
Oh.
Big time yun.
Alam mo ano ko opinion ko sa NFTs? I just bought an NFT for my profile photo, mura lang. I don't invest in NFTs kasi speculative talaga ang NFTs ngayon. At saka maraming paraan kung paano ma-manipulate ang presyo ng NFTs. Na very simple way to manipulate na people are unsuspecting buyers of these manipulated prices na hindi naman talaga ganun kataas, kaya lang i-manipulate yung price upward. So, I always tell people, if you buy an NFT, you like the art, then good for you. At least you see value in it. Pero kung binili mo lang yan para tingin mo dahil mag-100x ka, good luck sa'yo. 90% of the people that bought NFTs did not 100x. Good luck nga kung mabebenta mo yan. Okay, so especially now, NFTs was the fad nung time na yun. This cycle, hindi ko alam kung NFTs pa yung fad. Ang tingin ko yung fad ngayon, this cycle is going to be AI. AI tokens naman.
Yung pala next, mga AI tokens na.
Yeah, so
Yung
that's
natatanong ko
what really
kung ano yung next na utility na napoprovide ng mga blockchain, ng mga kasi nung time na medyo I was starting to learn about it, yung sa finance, 'di ba? Merong iba sa games like Axie. Sa ngayon ba ano ang future nitong blockchain and crypto? Saan papunta? Saan siya pwedeng gamitin? And saan siya pwedeng mag-grow?
Okay, yung kasi yung technology ng blockchain is going to change the way we use the internet. A lot of people think it's just financial. Hindi, blockchain is a technology to protect intellectual property and to protect assets and to protect data. Okay? And kasi ang problem natin sa Web 2 right now is centralized ang Web 2. I want you to try to see kung maintindihan mo tong purpose ng blockchain at Web 3. Right now, ang problema sa BDO, for example, di ba na-hack ang BDO? You guys remember that hack, yung 350 accounts, 50,000 pesos per account na hack. Bakit na hack yun? Dahil centralized yung servers ng BDO.
Diba?
So if a hacker wanted to hack it, they have to access one server. And then, yun na, all the shit they can do, kaya na lang gawin yan. And na-hack din ng BPI ata, na-hack. Tapos Facebook na-hack, di ba? All the data was breached because of that. There are a lot of hacks that happened. Even if I remember correctly, was it Gcash na na-hack recently? Maraming hacks because it's centralized. Now, what Web3 is called decentralization. Hindi na nasa sa isang server ang lahat ng impormasyon na yon. They're now on 1,000,000 servers all over the world. Now, when you have 1,000,000 servers validating the information, what the hacker has to do is hack all 1,000,000 servers at the same time to be able to change the information, to be able to steal the information. Otherwise, it's unhackable. Yun ang isang property ng decentralized internet or the Web3. Yung isa pa, yung blockchain. Yung blockchain naman, ang ginagawa niya, kasi right now, like for example, sa computer natin, di ba yung information nakalagay sa mga folders, di ba? Marami yan. Ang gulo-gulo niyan, di ba? So if a hacker hacked your computer, they go into a folder and then get all your info. Pero sa blockchain, it's different. One folder is connected to another folder, is connected to another folder, is connected to another one, connected to another one. Now, they're all connected. They're all encrypted, each folder. If a hacker wanted to hack one data, he has to hack all of the chain at the same time on 1,000,000 servers. Kaya it's impossible to hack the blockchain. That's why since the inception of Bitcoin in 2009, it's never been hacked. And trust me, people have tried. Hackers have tried. And even the hacker that did that video hack that stole millions, alam mo ginawa niya after niya na-hack yung video? Kinonvert niya lahat to Bitcoin dahil alam niya Bitcoin hindi ma-hack.
Of course, now we'll go to the other side of the coin. Now, I mean, we see all the pros of the Bitcoin and why is it very attractive. In your case, luckily, you came in at a good time. I was just looking at the Bitcoin yield over, more than a decade from, 2010, it was like less than $1. Then it went up to, wow, 68,000. And then now it's around 40,000. So if you invested in this thing 10, 15 years ago, my God, ano ka na, happy ng life mo. This is a multi-generational wealth issue. But of course, at the same time, we also have, of course, Chris, issue of people who came in a little bit late without knowing it. They bought it a little bit expensive, let's say in the middle of the pandemic, then prices collapsed. So we had all of these horror stories of people who came in at the wrong time. Because, there's a timing aspect to it. You're the lucky one. And not to mention the US, the tax laws are very strict. They're really going to come after you. So there were a lot of people who had kind of a semi-horror stories here and there. But even more than Bitcoin, of course, let's expand this. Hindi lang naman Bitcoin. We're talking about digital currencies. Ang dami mga scam na nangyari. I mean, just some Bankman-Fried case, my goodness. Many people were driven to suicide and worse. They put all of their their savings into this. So a lot of Ponzi schemers, right? Emerged during the pandemic period. So how do you look at that? Before I go to another counter argument on this issue,
Okay, so to begin with, there's Bitcoin and then there's everything else. Bitcoin stands head and shoulders above all other altcoins. All other altcoins were created after Bitcoin. Ang pinagkaiba ng Bitcoin sa lahat ng mga altcoins na sinasabi mo, yung mga now about 30,000 cryptocurrencies, is this. Bitcoin has no owner, has no company. There is no office for Bitcoin. They don't have a president.
I mean, who's the founder? We still don't know.
So the founder released the code. When he released it, he can't even change the code himself.
Sino
Can
ba
you
talaga yung
imagine?
founder?
So the founder
rumor?
is this anonymous person named Satoshi Nakamoto.
Which is a screen name. Oh,
yeah, it's a screen name. It doesn't exist. And the reason he did that is because he understood that if people knew who he was, the government would probably go after him. Now, when he released the Bitcoin programming code, the open source code, he can't even change it himself. Nobody can. Kasi to change it, you have to get over 51% of all the nodes and validators to agree to change it. Now, when you have 1,000,000 validators, good luck trying to get 51% to agree to anything. It's impossible. So, dahil doon, hindi kayang palitan ng Bitcoin. It's a hard asset. All other cryptos have a founder. They have an office. They have a board of directors. They have a support team. They have a Twitter, a Facebook. They have all of that.
Yeah, they
Bitcoin
have
lang ang
mini
wala.
central banks, essentially. They have their own central
Yeah.
banks, essentially.
They have their own
Which goes
countries.
against the whole idea of, a digital currency of libertarian utopia, right?
Yeah, absolutely. That's why I say 90% of all the cryptos you see now are going to collapse and go to zero. Kaya I do not advise people to invest in any other crypto except Bitcoin.
And your suggestion is long haulers?
Oh, absolutely. So we call them
Go for 10 years.
hodlers.
Yeah,
Ito
exactly.
yung mga just hold it, and I promise you this, you hold it for a minimum of 10 years. It doesn't matter when you come in. You will profit from Bitcoin. So like you said, Richard, yung paano yung mga pumasok ng 2021 at the peak at $60,000. By the way, I bought at $60,000. I bought at the peak, okay? And I'm not worried about that. So even if you bought at the price at $60,000 to $67,000, by 2020, no, excuse me, even by 2024, you're going to be already at break even. By 2025, you're going to be so happy you bought, because Bitcoin's probably going to be at 6 digits already. Probably $150,000 to $200,000 per Bitcoin. So even at today's prices, it's actually cheap. And I'm still buying at today's prices. I actually bought Bitcoins just like a few weeks ago.
But Chris, you're making a claim. I'm not sure what's the basis, how confident you are, because I heard this 100, 200,000, a million a few years ago. It's still not coming true. I mean, don't you think that there's going to be some sort of a maturation period before there's another peak? Or, well, I mean, of course, you're betting big on this. I'm just saying, aren't you overpromising in a way? How
okay.
are you? Where do you get your certainty?
Yeah, so the certainty comes from several things. Number one, there's a stock to flow supply chart that they created. The stock to flow chart is based on gold and based on commodities, actually. So they traced kasi gold is a scarce commodity. You can't just mine gold forever. Meron siyang limited supply. So pakonti ng pakonti yung supply ng gold. And what they noticed is that they charted it against the price of gold. And they noticed that as the supply dropped, the price of gold kept going up. So they put that same chart on Bitcoin's flow and supply, okay? And what they noticed is that nung pinase nila yung historical prices ng Bitcoin dun sa supply chart ng Bitcoin, nagulat sila, it matched perfectly. And then naalala ko, nung nakita ko yung chart na yun, it was at $7,000 per Bitcoin. Nung nakita ko yung chart, tinitignan ko saan papunta, sabi ko, by 2021, it's going to hit mga, I was expecting it to be 100,000. Sabi ko, wow. Kaya bumili ako agad at 7. Sure, it didn't hit 100,000 that time. It hit 67,000. No problem. This cycle is going to be bigger than the last cycle for several reasons. Number one is called a supply shock. Every 4 years, the Bitcoin flow, or the number of Bitcoins that's minted or mined, is cut in half. So nababawasan yung, parang yung gripo, pahigpit na pahigpit, pakonti na pakonti yung bumabagsak na tubig. So that's the supply shock that will send the price up. The second one is called the demand shock. Alam mo, Richard and Mark, from the inception of Bitcoin to today, institutional investors, I'm talking about the biggest bank managers, the biggest fund managers, people like companies like BlackRock, if you've ever heard of BlackRock and how amazingly, massively huge they are. They've said they don't like
just
Bitcoin.
10 trillion, right? I think they're just $10 trillion. Hedge fund.
Yeah, exactly. BlackRock just manages $10 trillion. Okay, that's how massive they are. Now, I want you to think about that number. That's one. And there's 10 of these asset managers. Combined, they probably control about $100 trillion of assets. Now, here's the big difference. This is what I call demand shock. This year, they looked at Bitcoin and said, oh my God, we have to offer Bitcoin to all our clients. And they did a study on it. And that study, they did internal study and hindi nila pinublish. Na nag-leak lang, dito sa internal study nito, nire-recommend nga nila na dapat 80% of their assets is in Bitcoin. But of course, they're not going to recommend that. So what they're going to do is to diversify it and recommend about 2 to 5% conservatively into Bitcoin. When you're talking about 5% of 100 trillion, that's $5 trillion of money flowing into Bitcoin in the next 5 to 10 years. That's a demand shock. When that happens, the price of Bitcoin will go up because the market cap of Bitcoin now is only at $800 billion. I want you to imagine the market cap of Bitcoin at $10 trillion. A $10 trillion market cap is about a $1 million per Bitcoin price. Okay,
Yeah, which
that's
is
why I know it's
like
going to go
almost
up.
20 times the current price. Well, I mean, again, I get it. I mean, if you have trillions of dollars sloshing around, it makes sense to diversify your options. So I think it's the rigor for any big companies to have their, you know, their fingers deep in any cookie jar, including
Yep.
some dodgier cookie jar. But speaking of supply shock, I mean, we know that the governments are also stepping in to issue also their digital currency. I think China is the biggest one coming in, banning Bitcoin. We saw some countries like, was it El Salvador, the millennial dictator going Bitcoin. I'm not sure things turned out very well for him. So I don't know. I mean, for me, some of these projections are not perhaps taking into consideration government action, as big countries like China, who knows, in Europe, among others, may also issue their own certified digital currencies to compete with Bitcoin. And what do you have to say about that?
Oh, first of all, I love your questions, Richard. Ang galing. I love it. So here's the thing. That's a fallacy, what you said about El Salvador experiment not going well. It wasn't going well, but guess what? Today, it's going amazing. They're already in profit from their Bitcoin reserves. Higher profit than they've ever had if they just kept it in like bonds or whatever investments that are safe and giving a 3 to 5% return. They're actually in profit. You can look it up. So yes, their Bitcoin experiment is working and it's going to get better for them. Number one. Number two, the question about China and banning Bitcoin. Alam mo ba, so many times China, this is not the first time China tried to ban Bitcoin. They did. They've tried to ban Bitcoin so many times. What happened? People bought more. The more the government tries to ban Bitcoin, the more people will want to buy it. That's how things work. Remember, the more the government doesn't want you to do something, the more people crave and want it. Okay? So the China banning is not working. Number one. Number two, you're talking about digitizing the currencies like China, EU is planning to do it. The US is looking at it. It's called CBDCs, central bank denominated currencies, CBDCs. Now, here's the problem with CBDCs and why the CBDC idea might fail is this. I want to I want you to imagine what happened in Canada during COVID. I don't know if you guys know what happened. The truckers were protesting the COVID sanction restrictions that time. Ang ginawa ng Canadian government ng time na yon, dahil ayaw nila hintuin yung protest nila, the Canadian government actually froze all their bank accounts of all the truckers. Okay, think about what happened, freezing the bank accounts. Now,
Let me confirm that. I mean, this is the Trudeau administration we're accusing, right?
Yes, you can
I
check
want to
that.
check that because I know these truckers in, I don't know, Ottawa are like heroes of alt-right. So it's like,
Yeah.
but okay, I'll check that myself. Yeah.
Richard, do check my info, check my facts, check what I'm saying. And if I'm wrong, I'll redact the statement. I'll retract it. Okay, but check it. I'm positive on this one. So anyway, what happened was he froze their bank accounts. Okay, now and eto pa in the States, in Ukraine, you know what happened with the Ukraine war, diba? The US sanctioned Russia, and I don't like Russia. I like what the US did. They froze the US reserves, US dollar reserves of Russia. You know about that? All the dollar reserves of Russia was
it's
frozen
$350
and
billion.
taken away.
$350 billion.
Yeah, several billion. It was massive, right? And that's what collapsed the Russian economy. That's the problem with centralized currency. The government, if they don't like how you look, what you say, they can confiscate and freeze your money. And with Web 2 now, they can do that already, di ba? AMLA. How many, na-freeze na yung accounts ko ilang beses na. Bad trip talaga, hassle yan sobra. And if you try to take out $10,000 outside of the Philippines, good luck trying to get through immigration. They're gonna ask you, why are you taking it out? Where are you going? What are you doing with your own money? Why does the government care what you do with your own money? Diba? Hassle yun, ha? Now,
okay, Chris, I'll push back against you again. Okay, actually, we're correct on this freezing account. I checked it 2020. But let me say, by the way, just good news. El Salvador is now offering just in citizenship to crypto owners. So, amigo, soon you're gonna be an amigo Latino. Okay,
I don't want to go to El Salvador, man.
But going back to this, I mean, I can completely see your point of defying, sanctions, etc. But isn't that exactly why a lot of dodgy countries like North Korea, hackers, underground works, terrorist organization have been accused, or there's quite evidence to suggest that they're using Bitcoin to circumvent sanctions. It's not like sanctions against Russia had no moral basis. I think Putin deserved that sanction in a way, not the Russian people looking at. So I don't know, like I get your point that you push back against tyrannical intervention, but you're also allowing petty tyrants to get away with nasty stuff, right? I mean,
Yeah, absolutely.
there's the
Here's
other
the
side
problem.
to that. I'm just saying, I'm just trying to
No, no.
balance. Yeah.
You're absolutely right. But here's the here is the you have to look at it in the context, the whole context of let's say money laundering and money used for illicit activities. Bitcoin's use in illicit activities is actually less than what? Like I think less than 5%. You know what the most used currency
But
is?
Chris, if it's
But
gonna
do you
be
know what
10
the most used
trillion,
currency is?
5% of 10 trillion is gonna be what? 500 billion or something like that. That's still
Yeah,
gonna
but
be huge.
the point I'm trying to make is this. If you're telling me that, well, paano yung ginagamit for illicit activities? Well, I think they have a bigger problem with cash, where 95% is used of illicit activities is transacted in cash. And they haven't been able to figure that out. And you're telling me you're worried about Bitcoin when they have a bigger problem that they've never been able to figure out.
So your
AMLA,
argument is
by the
it's
way,
worth it. It's worth it. The risk is worth it. Like you're
well,
acknowledging risk, but you're saying it's worth it.
no, actually, I find
Not big
Bitcoin
enough.
to be even safer than cash. Kasi sa cash, hindi mo talaga matatrace yan. With Bitcoin, you can actually trace it because everything is on the blockchain. Everything is open source. Everything is completely transparent. You can tell the origin of every single Bitcoin you buy. That's why Bitcoin is actually better than cash. And it can't be counterfeited. So wala nang counterfeits pagdating sa Bitcoin. Unlike cash, you know ang problem ng government? Counterfeiting. Right? That's a big problem with any government.
Last
Not
point,
with Bitcoin.
Chris. Last point, Chris. Before we go back to Mark and we talk about the other issue, which is very important, entrepreneurship. Thank you. By the way, thank you. I'm just trying to make this discussion balanced. I hope I'm not coming off as like nega. I'm just trying to put things in context. I mean, the other thing, of course, with the issue of digital currencies and all is, may mga kaso tayo ng mga tao they forgot their password and all of that. That's the thing, right? You're saying the good thing is there's no one really in charge. It's a kind of an good anarchy. But the problem is then there's no fallback option if something goes wrong, right? Let's say Mark Gamboa, I don't know, did something and he forgot. I mean, there's so many things. Mark, narinig mo yan, di ba? Yung mga they forgot their password and wala sila mapuntahan and now it's worth like $200 million. That's the problem. There's no shop to go to if something goes wrong. That's my problem with that. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's the same as if you lose your wallet, diba? I mean, you have nowhere to go to. If you lose your cell phone, you have no one to go to, diba? It's your fault, right?
You can go to the police and report that.
Yeah, you can. That you lost your phone, right? Paano na? You drop your phone, nabasag.
If you lost your password, wala na.
Yeah, so here's the thing.
Mark, nakakatakot, diba?
Absolutely. You know what scares me more than holding on to my own money? The bank holding on to my money. Kasi you know how many bank runs have happened already? Another example I'm going to give you, Lebanon. Alam mo ba in Lebanon, when that explosion happened in 2019, after that, bumagsak yung economy nila.
Chris, that's an extreme case. Come on.
No, it's not.
You're going to give me Lebanon and North Korea. I mean,
I want you, Richard, I think that's a misnomer when you say it's extreme. There are so many countries that are in hyperinflation right now. Venezuela is in hyperinflation. Argentina is in hyperinflation.
Turkey, yeah.
Turkey, Lebanon. I mean, like I'm telling you, there are a lot of countries in there are probably more countries in hyperinflation than countries that are not in hyperinflation. Even the Philippines has a high inflation. The U.S.'s inflation is high. And that's a big problem. So I want you to imagine, the bank holds your money. You go to the bank, everyone's trying to get the money at the same time. What did the government do in Lebanon? They put the military in front of all the people and said, you cannot take out your money. Na yung mga tao, alam mo ginawa nila, isang babae, pumasok doon, may dalang baril. Hinold up niya yung bank just to get her old money. And she said, I'm only robbing the money that this bank holds for me. This is my money. And then she walked out a hero. It's on the news, that one. So the point I'm trying to make is this. If you think it's scary to hold on to your money, trust me, the bank holding on to your money is scarier. If you have a couple of million pesos in the bank, try to withdraw all of it at the same time. Let's see if it's going to be easy or hard. It's going to be very hard. So kailangan lang ng mindset shift eh. Nasanay tayo at na-condition tayo at na-brainwash tayo to believe that inflation is good. Number one. Number two, that you need a bank. You don't need a bank. You actually should learn how to have self-custody of your own money. That is the safest way to go. This is a mind shift. That's why a lot of people have a hard time understanding the Bitcoin and cryptocurrency and the importance of it, because they have this thinking that's been inculcated in us since the
They have
1970s.
preconceptions. Preconceived bias and all. No, I mean, I'm just trying to have a balanced discussion here. Now, I'm sure Mark, but I want to ask you, what is your advice? Although I will disagree with inflation is bad necessarily. You need a certain degree of inflation to get the economy going. You can ask Japan about deflation and stuff. But we can talk about macroeconomics separately. But going back to this, what is your advice dun sa mga may Bitcoin in terms of password nila and all, para hindi mangyari yung mga, like, what is the...
Okay.
Yeah, can you give us the 1, 2, 3 step of
Absolutely
getting Bitcoin?
So,
let's do that part. Yeah, let's do that.
Okay. So here's the thing about Bitcoin, yung mga narinig mong horror stories about people forgetting their passwords. That happened kasi nung time na yun, wala pang halaga yung Bitcoin. Ngayon, pag may bagay ka na walang halaga, pinapabayaan mo lang talaga siya. Pero napansin mo, pag meron kang bagay like your iPhone that you value so much, man, you're holding on to it like a hawk. Diba? So ganun din yan. When you have something that you understand that's valuable, you won't be just carelessly forgetting your password. Now, hindi yung password yung problema sa Bitcoin at sa cryptocurrency. The problem really is, and the real security is the 16 to 24 word seed phrase. Yan yung pinaka-importante. Because even if they have your password, they will not be able to access your Bitcoin wallet or your crypto wallet. The only way to really access it is getting the 16 to 24 word seed phrase. Yun yung kailangan mo protektahan. Now, how do you protect it? You write it on a piece of paper, put it in a sealed envelope, put it in the safety deposit box. Or you can engrave it. Ako yung ginawa ko, engraved on a
What's your
steel plate.
advice?
Yeah, steel plate, engraved. Sealed, yung steel plate. May seal talaga yan. And then nakalock yan. Nakalagay sa vault. Pag yan, nabuksan, alam ko na nabuksan na yan. So that's how I keep it safe. And I have the key to that. Yung mga ganon, that's how you keep it safe. And you have to learn talaga to be careful with all your properties. Yun lang naman yun at the end of the day.
Yeah, I think your counter-argument to me is like, if I said your Lebanon case was extreme, you can easily also say, but Richard, you're also raising extreme cases of password.
No, not at all. And you know what,
No, but
Richard?
I think that will be my argument against myself. It's like, come on, Richard, you cannot use that as a... Can I ask na lang, what is your helpful advice for safety, etc.?
And remember, if you lose the computer or your phone, you just have to open the 16-word phrase and then type it in, and then you have access again to your crypto. That's it. See? So it's not even if the device is burned, if you have the 16-word phrase, you can get your crypto.
Ikaw, Mark, anong tanong mo dyan? Have you tried, Mark, to get into Bitcoin and all before we go to the...
Merong time na I studied it. Yung time na papasok pa lang yung NFTs. So, I tried trading yung mga iba't ibang klase ng crypto, and at the end hindi ko din matutukan, and so I sold most of my coins then. Yung iba at a loss, pero ayun, ang ganda nga yung ganito kasi mas I'm learning na kung ano yung where the state of Bitcoin is now. And yun nga, yung mga NFTs and yung ibang mga coins, most of them will go down then, or will go down to zero. Kaya yun naman talaga yung ever since Bitcoin, Ethereum, yun talaga yung more stable and more maayos na pagdating sa mga crypto and sa blockchain.
Siguro ako lang kina-add lang for all the viewers that are thinking well, I don't understand it, I don't have time to look at it. You don't need to really understand it. You don't really need to look at it. Look at it as a piggy bank. Lagay mo lang pera mo, keep putting it, and just leave it there. Now, I'll tell you two good stories. I'll tell you two good stories about that. Number one, my girlfriend recently just got into Bitcoin last January. Alam mo ba, she didn't understand Bitcoin, but she keeps hearing me talk about it. Tapos sabi niya, my God, Chris, are you telling me this is gonna keep going up? I go, hell yeah. When? Sabi ko, this year it's gonna go up. January, bumili siya at $19,000. And you know what people were saying at 19? Mahal sobra yan. And she goes, I'm gonna put in. Now, you know what? It went up to 25. Sabi lang, oh my God, ang taas na niyan. She put more in at 25. At $32,000. Sabi ng iba, oh my God, babagsak yan. She put more in. Okay. Today, it's at 44. And you know what? She doesn't look at it every day. Well, actually, mga siguro once a week tinitignan na niya yan kasi natutuwa yan. Nakikita niya, wow, tumaas na naman yung pera ko, tumaas na naman. It's amazing that feeling when you're looking at your account and then packet ng packet yung value ng pera mo. That's why I tell people, you don't need to truly understand it. Alam mo, the smartest people in the world created this technology called Bitcoin. The smartest investors in the world are already in Bitcoin. The smartest investors, yung mga like the Winklevoss twins, are in Bitcoin. Now, why are they all in it? And you're not. Think about that. One more story I'm gonna tell you. Ito, about forgetting it. I have a friend who I was talking to about crypto and then nabanggit ko yung Ethereum. Sabi niya sa akin, this was March 2020. Sabi niya, uy, meron ako niyan ah. Ako talaga? Check mo nga. So hindi na nga niya naalala yung password niya. Sabi niya, meron bang website na Binance? Sabi ko, meron. Sabi niya, oh shoots, meron na ata ako nabili. So she Googles, she goes to her Gmail, finds her account, forgot password, accesses the account again. She opens it and boom, long and behold, meron nga siyang Ethereum. So sabi ko, padala mo yung screenshot, titignan ko meron ba talaga. Meron. Ito na. Sabi ko, magkano binayad mo dyan? Sabi niya, binili ko yan noong 2016 at binayad ko sa kanya yung first paycheck ko, $1,000. Bibili dapat ng iPhone. Hindi niya binili yung iPhone niya. Binili niya is Ethereum. Okay? At she bought 50,000 pesos worth. Okay. The day I was talking to her, she goes, why, how much is it now? Sabi ko, I hope you're sitting down. Because that 50,000 pesos is now worth 2.3 million pesos. She literally fell off her seat. She was like, holy shit, ibebenta ko na lahat to. Sabi ko, do not touch it. Then I explained to her the chart, like I'm explaining it to you guys. This is where it's going. Why is it going here? What are we looking at? Sabi niya, okay, I'm not gonna sell it. Fast forward a year later, November 2021 na. She's messaging me, oh my God, Chris. I go, I know. She goes, have you seen it? I go, have you seen it? She goes, yep. Yung 50,000 niya na naging 2.3 million is at that time hit a high of 35 million pesos. She's 30 years old.
$1 million na siya. Getting
Oh yeah.
$1 million territory.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So that's what I'm saying about you don't need to understand it. You just have to put the money and just hold it. Yon.
Yeah, I agree with that kind of a long haul kind of. You're not gonna get over if you're for overnight kind of profit and all reach overnight. You're gonna get into trouble. You're gonna fall for scammy ones. Last point. Let's just say let's say an average middle class yuppie Filipino has say 100,000-200,000. Several $1,000s in excess fund, whatever that they can put into investments. What is your suggestion with that? What do you do with 100,000-200,000?
I would put everything in Bitcoin. That's
all
me.
in, yeah. So that
You know what? May irony nga nito, no? Kasi nga I talk about Bitcoin a lot. Me smart ass guy who said to me, sige Chris, you're telling people to put the money in Bitcoin. Pag natalo, are you willing to pay for the loss? You know what? Hell yeah. Pero itong condition ko sa'yo, pag talo, I'll pay for the loss. Pero pag panalo, akin yung gain. Ganun lang, di ba? That's so stupid, that mindset na. Paano ko natalo? Then you know what? For me, if you're so afraid to lose money, don't put your money in Bitcoin. Don't invest. Put it under your mattress if you're so afraid. Okay? Pero I mean, honestly, naintindihan ko naman yung takot ng mga tao sa pag-i-invest. Ito lang sa akin, put what you're comfortable investing. That you're comfortable na pag mawala, hindi ka naman mamamatay today dahil wala ka ng pera. Wag naman ganun. Wag kang mangutang para mag-invest.
Yeah,
yun lang ang mga rules
that's a very
natin.
good advice. I agree with you. And
Diba,
don't expect a return in 2 months, 3 months right away. Because sometimes it might take 6 months, 1 year, or whatever. But the reason the insurance, because remember, as correctly pointed out by folks here in the US, for instance, your deposits are insured up to, I think, $300,000, not $500,000 or something like that. So it's not like, it's not like bank run and all of that is a constant reality. I mean, I'm just saying my problem with Bitcoin evangelists is that they're exaggerating sometimes the uncertainty with the traditional methods. But I think to be fair to you, you also try to emphasize to us the other side of Bitcoin, which perhaps is not appreciated by the alarmism. Okay, Chris, there's so much more we can talk about it. Perhaps we can make even videos about, step by step, how to do it. And please also try tell the folks do you have, I'm sure you have vlog on your own vlog, no, yung mga instructional step by step. Can you
Yeah. Yeah, I actually have a lot of very deep dives into Bitcoin and cryptocurrency. Just follow me on my YouTube. Yun yung mas malalim talaga sa YouTube ko. I am Christian. And yeah, if you want to know more, just message me. I'm always happy to share my ideas and my thoughts on Bitcoin. And by the way, Richard and Mark, you guys don't have to apologize when you challenge me on these points, okay? At all. No apology needed.
Not at all.
Bro, I love a good challenge and I love a good talk. And these conversations, it is really what strengthens ideas. Okay. And that's why I love it, man. So no apologies needed. And pushback is amazing. I
Sword
love
sharpens
pushback.
sword, amigo. Mark, any questions before we go to the next part, which I think you have even more to ask Chris siguro yung entrepreneurship, because you're an entrepreneur yourself, right? Any questions?
Iba naman yung sa showbiz. At December 25,
Iba episode na yan.
Family
Iba
of
episode
Two.
na yan. Iba
Tristan
episode na yan,
is
bro.
part of the movie Sharon and Alden Richards.
Yun.
Yun.
Let's shout out in the next episode. Sige, let's start it there.
Shout out din natin sa next episode.
Maraming salamat. Thank you very much, Tristan and Marc Gamboa, for this RCM or CRM or MRC, whatever. MRC na lang para GMRC ang dating. May magalit na senator sa akin. Thank you very much, Chris, for your passionate argument in favor of Bitcoins, or at least people being a little bit more entrepreneurial, which is something we want to discuss in our next episode. Salamat. God bless.